Mayoral candidate Adrian Perkins is here. Mr. Adrian, welcome back to Keel. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
We call him Ad Perk. They all get a nickname.
See, you and Aaron were talking a couple of seconds ago, and literally 15 seconds before we're supposed to go on the radio, she says, "Man, you were harsh in that op-ed yesterday," or whenever it was, and you said, "Wasn't trying to be harsh, just wanted to state facts." You read it. I have not seen it. What was in the op-ed? You tell us to. What the heck, man?
He's talking crime, and you were pretty direct.
Absolutely. Well, with an op-ed, you have to be precise, so you need to make sure your words are, a bit blunt occasionally. So, again, what I was going for was to portray facts that are out there. I talked about several policies that are in place with the police department, and I also made recommendations. I just wasn't complaining about
Pardon me, policies with which you disagree?
Yeah, I mean, a couple things. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And leadership. I talked about leadership in the police department.
What are the policies you don't like?
So one thing actually that was not actually that didn't make it into the op-ed was a majority of our police officers, the rank and file who patrol between 9 and 5. Peak crime hours is at 10 p.m. Those type of policies don't make sense. Another thing I got on was the officer who put Shreveport Police Department on national news. He was fired a couple months prior to that. But the Civil Service Board couldn't uphold the firing because they didn't administratively put in the paperwork that was proper. So he was reinstated, and then you have issues like that pop up later.
You also have in this that you're going to take care of our officers.
Absolutely.
And we have to if we expect them to take care of us. Give them more money in that.
Absolutely.
How so? Where are we going to get the money?
Well, when creating a budget, you have to prioritize what's the big issues in the city. And every citizen right now is talking about crime in our city. And that's what prompted me to write this, because it's on everybody's mind right now.
You also say choosing new leaders.
Yes.
New police chief immediately if Adrian Perkins is mayor.
Well, the Civil Service Board determines that, but I believe every mayor should have the right to pick their police chief. And if I had the right to pick my police chief up front, I would absolutely do so.
And what kind of chief is Adrian Perkins looking for?
I want a chief that it's his full-time job, and who brings competencies to the job that we need to focus on. Robberies and murders are the big things in Shreveport. And there's a chart on that op-ed that talks about in the previous 3 years, we've gone up in all 4 major crime categories: assaults, robberies, murders, auto theft. That's not going in the right direction. So I need a leader that's going to reverse that trend and make Shreveport safer.
You hear the mayor say, crime numbers are actually down when you look compared to last year. You take exception to that.
I do. If you look at citydata.com, our crime numbers have gone up, not just last year, but again, the 3 years since she's been in office. So reconcile that for us. And you often hear, I go out into the communities and people say, we do not feel safe. Things are getting worse. So I have anecdotal evidence and we have quantitative evidence that things are not getting better here.
But we also have the problem of often these crimes, these murders, violent crimes, are people that know each other. It's family relationships, domestic relationships. What does Adrian Perkins do about that? We have to find a way to help solve that too.
So I think that's where the police substations come into play, and I make that recommendation in the article as well. If you have substations in these neighborhoods, you have police officers there day in and day out. They get to know the families in the neighborhoods. They get to know the people in the neighborhoods. And what better way to protect and serve than actually get to know the people that you're protecting and serving better? I was tasked to do that when I was in Iraq as a soldier. I had to go out every day, get out of my vehicle, play soccer, deliver school supplies to the people that I was over there policing. So why isn't that a requirement here in our own hometown?
It's like you anticipated my next question because of your military experience. Would it be fair or unfair to say that you, in some ways, want to bring a military approach of efficiency to city government?
So I think military inherently has some too much force in that word. So not necessarily military, but as far as relationship building, that tool that I got from the military, I think that absolutely should be brought into the police department.
What tool was that? Expound on that a little bit.
Yeah, relationship building. Again, ensuring that the rank and file go out and get to know the people that they're serving. And many of them do. I'm not saying that, but if leaders don't emphasize that, emphasize the importance of them getting to know the families, getting to know the people that are committing these crimes and the people that know them in these neighborhoods, if leaders don't emphasize it, then, they won't be required to do it. So I want to emphasize building those relationships between the police department and the people.
You're obviously, you don't have a police background. You have a military background, but who are you getting your advice from with regard to policy changes in the police department? Who's your go-to people?
So I actually speak with, plenty of police officers about this, and Mike Carter is one of them over the police union. But I also have listening sessions with police officers multiple times a month. I'm actually having a listening session with some firemen in a couple days as well. So anybody that wants to talk to me from the police department, I'm very open to listening, and I learn so much from them every time I sit with them.
Speaking of listening sessions, what are the people of Shreveport telling you so far?
Again, crime is at the forefront of their mind. A lot of people don't feel safe, whether it's murders or robberies, and also economic development and jobs. Right now, over half of Shreveport makes less than $40,000. So having jobs that bring in livable wages is extremely important.